Welcome back to Wavy Music News Podcast. I'm your host, M the Myth. Today we're sitting down with someone whose music radiates warmth, wonder, and a deeply personal kind of rebellion. Pearly is the psychedelic pop rock project of Brooklyn-based musician and songwriter Kendall Perry, a sound that blends Beach Boys harmonies, Beatles-era curiosity, and the tender euphoria of meeting yourself for the first time. Pearly isn't just a rock project, it's a celebration of queer and trans life, a safe space for the in-between, and a window into Kendall's own journey into trans masculinity and newfound boyhood. He's joined by an all-queer band, and right now he's in the middle of something huge, recording Pearly's debut LP with producer Oliver Ignatius at Holy Fang Studios. His first time getting to bring his songs into a professional studio setting after years of self-producing and do-it-yourself albums. He's here today as one of our newest Wavy ambassadors, which we're super excited. Before we welcome Pearly to the show, we're going to dive into Late Bloomer Baby, and we'll hear more about that project in just a few seconds, okay?
Floated up upon the ocean, said to me, you're ready to go on here. I felt the airs come over me, an awakening in New York City.
Insane
Woo!
listeners. Oh my gosh, everyone, welcome.
Hi. It's Pearly. Thank you so much for listening. That was really fun to listen with you. Gosh, thank you. I know that feels like that gave me like a pep of energy also. That was great. That perennial I aim to be at the end. I always love hearing it. I always love singing it, that line.
Oh my,
Um,
can you tell us a bit more about it? Yeah, what?
yeah. Well, yeah. So this, what you just heard was the first single that I released under the Pearly project. And yeah, this song is all about like really coming into my trans identity and the joy, but also the grief that comes along with being a late bloomer. And yeah, perennial, I aim to be that lyric at the end. Perennial, like the flower, like a plant, a flower that comes back every year. So I thought of that as like almost like a invocation for our continually evolving becoming so that we can keep growing into ourselves. Because I feel like, especially as queer and trans people, we're always peeling back new layers and uncovering new parts of ourselves. So staying open to that, and may we continue to bloom and blossom throughout our lives. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about what the song's about. It's kind of an intro to Pearly a little bit as well. Yeah.
I am obsessed. And okay, so where do we begin? Who were you as a musician before Pearly? This is my canned question. Who were you as a
Yeah.
musician before Pearly existed? Where did the songwriter in you actually start? And it's
Yeah,
just,
good
yeah.
question. No, great question. Yeah, Pearly, while this project started in 2024, I've been a musician my whole life. Since my first instrument was actually piano. I started learning, I believe I was 5 years old, and I loved the vibrations of it was an upright piano. So I loved feeling the vibrations from the bass notes and just like getting to know that instrument. And then when I was a teenager, I totally fell in love with. My dad had an acoustic guitar, so I would teach myself Beatles tunes and Green Day tunes, which is kind of funny because I feel like both, Beatles, Green Day, Beach Boys are all these songs and bands I grew up listening to as a kid are now like some of my biggest influences, which kind of makes sense, kind of coming back to the part that's sort of always been there. But yeah, so I started writing songs and it just sort of started happening naturally. Like it was something I kind of had this feeling to do when I was, I think maybe like 12, 13, when I was first learning guitar, and I started writing around the same time. And then at 15, I produced and recorded my own first album all by myself with a single microphone and a bootlegged software that my friend gave me, and recorded all the instruments in my parents' like office space. And that was my like happy place. Like I really loved to come back to the music and just be in creating this like layers of sound. And that's around the time when the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson became a big part of my life and influence. And that's when I first discovered Pet Sounds as well, which is still a huge influence on me, and like never left really. But yeah, then let's see what next. I went to music school undergrad. I took a few years of was doing a jazz guitar degree. I was like, well, what did I do? And then
Wow.
I realized I'm not a jazz guitarist. I want to be doing something more collaboratively and writing. So I started writing my own like instrumental music, which I'll come back to because before Pearly, most of the music that I've written has all been instrumental. And I have a theory. I would perform instrumental guitar music, which then led to me playing with a band. And I had a first live recorded album called Unravel, which was also part of my end of my undergrad, where finishing my undergrad at a place called Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado, which is close to where I'm from. But it's funny because I never heard about it until shortly before going there, which is kind of funny because I grew up really close to where it is. But it's a Buddhist inspired university. So I really went from like music school to like a completely different way of working and learning. And it was great. It was really perfect. I feel like for me, especially as someone who came from like a, IB program, straight A, like following this kind of academic path, but like that wasn't really me. So like getting the chance to really explore a different side of my artistic like rigor, I guess, through Naropa was really great. Anyway, so that led to me working with a dance company in Colorado called Wild Heart Dance. They're a contemporary dance company that before working with them, like admired them and dreamt of working with them. And as a 23-year-old, I was asked by the director and choreographer to score their next show. And I was like shocked that they would ask me. But of course, I had to say yes. So I think that's kind of been a bit of my journey is sort of like, opportunities will emerge and just sort of leap and the net will appear sort of energy. So I started working with them and we did a few original productions together, all live recorded again. And all throughout this time, I had this dream of someone like Pearly all throughout my 20s, teens. And I think it took until coming into my trans identity, I think, for when Pearly, I could grow into someone like Pearly who's ready to be seen and be witnessed. I think a lot of my comfort as a musician was always sort of as a supportive role for
Mm.
other projects, which I love. I love working on all sorts of different projects across genres, styles. Yeah, I love collaborating with other artists. But yeah, I always wanted to do my own project. And so when Pearly started to come out, it just became this world that I started to like exist in. And yeah, I think that kind of brings us up to Pearly. Uh,
So sort of
yeah.
like while you were like scoring for the dance company,
Mhm.
you started having this vision of Pearly.
Yeah, actually, I would say I would take it back even to when I was a teenager writing my first album.
Oh wow. Okay. And
I think that's when
where does that project live, by the way?
that project lives. Oh my God, actually, here, let me grab a CD because it's
Yeah.
only, I need to like find a way to digitize it because
Yeah.
so this
Yes.
is my, and yeah, you'll see my long hair. This
Oh
is
my
from
God.
2008 is when it was finished. It was called Spectrum: The Beginnings, which I wasn't, out yet, which is funny. I was kind of to myself, but sort of
Yeah.
closeted. That's another story for another day. But yeah, and then it was a DIY operation. I feel like it's kind of been at the core of my doing this. Being an artist is, no one's gonna do it for you. So sometimes you just gotta do it yourself and do it together with your friends. So that's what I'm doing now. And this I feel like is kind of yeah where I came from, and yeah, it's funny to look back. And
How
yeah,
what an amazing artifact to have. I mean, I'm so curious to see how your sound has evolved over time too. And then you mentioned I mean, we can if it doesn't apply, but Unravel
yeah.
was the undergrad. And what was
Yes.
that sort of project like?
So that was an instrumental live performed piece that was with I had a band, and I also music directed like the whole
Mm.
thing. And I worked with a group of 6 dancers and
Wow.
uh, had a part in. I worked with a choreographer, a friend. This was a student production, so at the time it was people weren't working for pay in the same way I think it would be today. Just working with my friends. Yeah, worked with a group of dancers, and yeah, it was a story told through music and dance. And at the time, it was a lot inspired by my coming out as queer. Sort of that was what the journey was, but told through sort of metaphor and through movement, all instrumental, which is cool. I was very interested in making instrumental like musical journeys told through emotion and taking you through this sort of experience, cinematic experience almost of your emotion. And I feel like today if I were to think back, I feel like a lot of these themes come back within the Pearly project. And I think
Yes.
today like that taking you on a journey of feeling, I feel like is what I am. I think yeah, what I'm looking to do in the studio, I think especially, but it's and also in live performances, but I think in the studio there's something really special about being able to really craft and like hone the sound to be how it feels and how it is like existing in my mind, and to get to do that with my producer Oliver Ignatius has been incredible and just so musically fulfilling, and I can't wait to
Mm.
keep recording. I like would do it all the time if I could.
Oh my God,
um
please. Yes, listeners, donate to
yes,
the where we have a new link, but check it out in the show
yes,
notes because we would love to only see Pearly in the studio and on stage all the time, period. Okay. For
oh
this
thank
project,
you.
we'll talk about what that project is. I guess I sort of want to know, and we
Yeah,
can hear it going from instrumental music and then to adding your voice, which is so dreamy and delicious and like
Oh, thank you.
beautifully masculine. It's like a
Thank you.
unique, it's just a beautiful voice. I've never heard of, I think, a voice like this before. And I teach a history of rock class. And I
Oh,
actually
cool.
I learn a lot because rock isn't necessarily, that's like not my genre, but I have been learning a lot over this like last year and a half, and I can hear those influences, the Beach
Ah,
Boys and Brian and the
mhm.
Beatles and just all those. It's really freaking cool. And then also to
Thank
hear
you.
your history of your music as well, that cinematic experience, that ride, it really does feel like you've taken us, and it feels gentle too. Like it feels expansive, it feels joyous, but it also feels like you're bringing us with you along this ride to self-discovery.
I
And
love that.
I am very very grateful to be here today and talking with you. I want to ask, so how did, and you sort of answered this, but maybe I'll ask it more directly. How did your gender journey reshape the way you approach music? And
Yeah, great question. And also thank you so much for such kind words on my voice. I really appreciate that. It's been a beautiful journey, I think, with my gender. And right now I'm a little over 5 years on T, which you can hear in my voice. And it's been, I mean, even the first few years being on T were just kind of growing into the voice itself and
yeah.
strengthening because the range that I once had kind of disappeared in a way. But it grew lower, and
Mm.
since then I've been, growing back the range that where I used to feel comfortable singing. And I used to sing, I used to love, I have always loved singing, I'll just full stop. And I used to love singing before T, but the idea I think of being, I think there was still something dysphoric about my voice and being seen performing with the voice that I had. But interestingly enough, now I think it's not necessarily about like the pitch of my voice. Like, I love singing falsetto. I love singing like
Mm.
the whole range of my voice. And it doesn't really necessarily mean one thing or another
Sure.
in terms of my gender. But I do think that coming into myself through being on T, through top surgery, through just living this life and also not only with my gender, but also choosing my artist self as well, I think, and those two kind of coming together and not necessarily like resisting it or, rejecting it, but just embracing both sides. I think it's been a great journey. And I think, it's funny now, like when Pearly was starting to explore himself, I I think we started before we started the podcast, we talked about, thrifting a little bit. And I have kind of noticed that like the pieces that I used to get for Pearly when I'd find pieces for Pearly are now just like my clothes, just like what I wear all the time, which is great. So I think like Pearly has also at the same time like helped bring out aspects of Kendall. So now it's almost like it's become this conduit for my own discovery and playfulness. And I think the idea of like having it, the name Pearly as an artist name has also meant that I could be a little bit more free in who Pearly is and give space for this like artist identity who is basically just me, is just Kendall, but turned up, yeah. And I think, yeah, gender has been a huge part of it. And I think like coming into myself has, I think in the first place allowed Pearly to exist in the first place. I think. So yeah, I think like that's allowed this light that I feel and this joy of being and embracing my transness and just who I am, I think has allowed me to want to be visible, especially for those who don't feel safe to or feel comfortable to. And I hope that my this music can be a place to find that connection and bring people into a feeling of warmth and connection within themselves and just know that they're not alone, you know? So, yeah.
I mean, so I'm trans non-binary. I feel that warmth and gentleness through your music and through you, and that joy. You really radiate it, and you've captured it in your records. And let me tell you,
Oh,
like,
thank you.
I'm sure you're no stranger to it, but I'm very fluid with my
Mm.
expression of being trans, and it can be so dark and shadow. Like there's so much
Mm.
shadow sometimes
Oh, yeah.
in embodying this identity and truth of who we are. And I just really appreciate how like the light that you bring to to our community. It's really important to see happiness,
Thank you. I agree.
you know?
And I think it's important for me to say as well, like that, yeah, I do think it is important to see happiness and joy, like, especially now it's pretty, dreary in pretty much every direction. So I think it's helpful to see trans people, embracing themselves fully. And I think like showing that it is okay and that there are people out there who will support and love who you are, and that the happiness, isn't a stranger to the darkness either. So I think that a part of where it comes from, I think in the first place, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And well, just I really I am grateful for you, and
Oh,
we need more of your music in this world and your message. And so that brings us to the debut LP part
yes.
of the episode. Can you tell us about the world you're building with this debut LP and what story or emotional universe you're trying to create? As an ambassador, are you raising funds for this album specifically?
Yes. So yes, to answer your first question, as or second question, I suppose, as an ambassador, I am looking to raise money for Pearly's debut LP. So far, we are in the process of recording the record. I'd say we're a little under halfway recorded, like in terms of like the tracking. An EP is actually coming out early next year with 4 songs that will have already been released, but as a collection. And I think that will give a little bit of a sample of what I'm looking to do with the record, which is this idea of bringing trans joy, of bringing this luminescence, this light, and also some fun and some playfulness, but also a place where you can immerse yourself in the sound. Like I love a record that really takes you on an experience, and I want that experience to be also able to be tangible. Like I want a pressing of it, so I want to be able to have that, like, sit down and listen to the record, flip the record over, and you have this, yeah,
Yes.
this journey. So yeah, and I think it'll have many, even from what we've recorded so far, like it's going to be a very wide range of sounds and feelings, but within that very psychedelic pop rock vocal harmonies galore, the things that you can do in a studio that you can't necessarily always do live. Like I love to kind of get into that a little bit and explore some experimental production techniques with my producer. So yeah, a lot of I guess I'm getting a little bit more detailed now, but a lot of trans joy, a lot of rock, a lot of
Oh my God.
good
I mean,
time.
I can't wait. When's it coming out? So I'm gonna have my history of rock class. We're gonna listen to
Oh,
your
thank you.
album start to finish as records should be
Oh,
listened to.
well, thank you. I love that. I love that. Well, to be, to be determined. I think as an independent artist, this is, I'm pursuing the independent artist path like really fully. I'm very much learning as I go, all these steps, and
Yes.
so I think like as I have the path to make the record with the funding, the team, the talent, I have everything in place, which is really an amazing thing. Like in terms of the community and the team I have that really give a lot of their labor of love on this thing. Like my band, I have an amazing drummer, Caro, and Magda, my bassist, and we all met each other being gigging musicians in the city, and they're both super super talented and really have me, which is
Mhm.
amazing. And my producer Oliver, who also really understands the vision and is a great collaborator, and it's been really fun to get to build our working relationship too, and just to like learn and expand myself as a musician in the studio. It's just so
Mhm.
fun. So I hope to keep bringing more of that and expanding it, and I'm really excited for what's to come.
Yes, please. Oh my gosh, so are we. And let us know as soon. And so, listeners, please donate to the link in show notes because we want this album. We need this.
Yeah,
I need this. The world
thank you.
needs. We need heart of the
Uh,
episode.
oh
No,
yes.
sorry.
Oh
The
no, I
debut
was just gonna
LP.
say, while we're waiting for the full album, I do have another single coming out early next year, January 16th. The Mullet song will be coming out next, which will be a very good time.
Stop. I'm gonna get my mullet wig out.
Yes, I love that. I love a
Ja-
mullet wig. That's fun.
January 16th.
January 16th. Yes.
Okay.
And then the week after, we'll be doing, I haven't announced this yet, but it's confirmed, doing another single release show at the Stonewall Inn upstairs, turning their venue into a rock venue for the night. We did that for Late Bloomer Baby, what you heard at the top of the episode, back in May 1st of this year. So we're gonna do the same thing again, and it'll be really fun for the Melt song.
Iconic. And the show is on January 16th as well?
The show is January 23rd, so it's a
Okay.
week later, not to be too confusing.
Okay, cool.
But yeah.
So we'll have like a week to listen, and then
Exactly.
we can all come and sing the lyrics.
Exactly.
And wear our
have
mullets.
Exactly.
I
Or however you want to,
Yes,
express
yeah.
yourself.
No, it's a rigid fan base guidelines. Very, very specific.
This is the recipe.
Yeah. So how did you come to join the Wavies, and what made you say yes to this community? What are you hoping to build here?
Yeah. Well, first, I'm super happy to be here and to be meeting folks like yourself, and really excited for, to meet everyone, all the other ambassadors. Yeah, I found the Wavies, I think, through Instagram, I want to say. I saw a few other people who I know / follow receive awards, or like kind of have been a part of the Wavies. So yeah, I think y'all just became on my radar through the collective of Instagram. And and then I saw, I think, something about the apply to be an ambassador, and I really resonated with everything that the Wavies represents, and particularly keeping music human and uplifting underrepresented artists. And I'm like, this is definitely a community I feel like I want to be a part of and help uplift. And I really super happy to be here, and just really excited for all the opportunities and people I'm going to meet through.
We're so lucky to have you. Like, I mean, we are not worthy. Yes, we are.
Yes, of course.
Closing questions.
Yes.
Okay. If someone listens to Pearly for the very first time this week, what do you hope wakes up inside of them?
That's a really nice question. Let me think about that for a second. I hope that if you listen to Pearly this week, which I hope you do, I hope a lightness, as in like a kind of spaciousness, wakes up inside of you to be able to feel whatever comes up within that space. And I hope some joy comes across your way too, listening to Pearly. Yeah, some rock and roll.
Yes, rock and roll. And
That's
I
right.
love, it's like the lightness. You're so perfect. And y'all,
likewise.
Oh my gosh.
This has been fun, been super fun to chat with you. Thank you for giving me, this space, and thank you listeners for listening and getting to know me.
Thank you for being here so much. It is an honor. Everyone, that was Pearly, a reminder that music can be tender, expansive, and full of brand new worlds. Thank you for sharing your journey, your boyhood, your band, and the heart behind your debut LP that you're building. If you're listening, please go support Pearly, stream the songs, and help make this album happen, please. We're so grateful for you, Pearly, to have in the Wavy family, and we can't wait to see where this all goes. So we'll all see you on the next episode of Wavy Music News Podcast. Y'all stay wavy.
Woo!